All right, so I really let my inner geek flow for this little discussion we're going to have about grouping, right? And groups are one of those things that are a part of life. They can be positive, they can be negative, right? Our ideas of grouping or experiences of grouping can lead to uh, attitudes, right? Like we looked at in an earlier social psychology lesson, that then influence our interactions in other groups, could lead to self fulfilling prophecies. But as we're talking about groups, I thought I would get together one of my favorite groups, and that is the Avengers. As we talk about this, so this is an Avengers themed um, psych lecture. There are, when you form groups, right, there are stages that every group goes through. And so, what I want you to do as we talk about this is kind of think about in your own mind these group stages and any group that you've been in. Did your group grow through this? This could be a team that you've participated in, a club, drama play, um, group work in class, those sorts of things. And these are the steps that we're going to see these groups going through. The first is the forming step. If you see our picture, this is Nick Fury telling Tony Stark about the Avengers Initiative. This is where just kind of you're forming the group. This is always one of my favorite parts of these group types of movies is where you're going and you're collecting all the people that you need. Right, Ocean's 11 is a movie that's kind of like that, right? Well, we need a guy that can do this and a girl that can do this and all of these things. And so this is where you're kind of collecting the people that you need. The problem with forming is if you're a boss or if you're somebody that's doing this, you say, okay, I'm going to put this team together, kind of like Mission Impossible. Right? I need somebody that's good at this. I need somebody that's good at this. I need somebody that's good at this. A lot of times, what happens in school is you just say, well, I'm going to be with my buddies. And so as you form that group, you're forming that group. Some of those relationships are already set, but you're not looking at the skills that you need to get a particular task done. Storming, this is just like it sounds. This can be rough. This is kind of figuring out what the group dynamic is going to be. Who's going to lead, right? What direction is the group going to go in? This can be a point in grouping where you've got some personality conflicts. Maybe you got a couple of people that think they need to be in charge, right? We got Cap, we got Iron Man here, both struggling for who's going to lead this particular group. And so the storming phase, there can be groups that disintegrate at the storming phase just because we can't figure out how we're going to be interacting with each other. Norming and performing, right? We got our rules and our roles are set. And this is where, if everything's come together for the group, they're working like a finely tuned machine, right? This is the first couple of minutes of the Age of Ultron when the Avengers are coming out, and there's nothing that's going to stand in their way. They're flawlessly working together, each one aiding and building on the strengths of the others to really kind of be the ultimate team in this norming and performing stage. And then finally, adjourning, right? And it's the idea that in most cases in life, when you have a group that's together, this is a work project, school project, whatever, that group will eventually split up, right? Somebody gets transferred, somebody takes another job, somebody retires, somebody moves. If you're on a sports team, right, you got seniors every year that are graduating, that are going on to different things. And so that group has to finish, right? That group's going to be done. Now, you may have a new team the next year, but again, you got to go through the same things, right? You're getting everybody together, you're figuring out who's going to lead. A lot of times that can be a little awkward. And so hopefully you're looking and saying, yeah, man, that's actually the way that a lot of groups I've been a part of have worked. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to working in groups. Working in groups can free people to be their best. That's social facilitation, right? It's the idea that being in a group brings out the best in you, allows you to cater to your strengths. On the flip side of that, though, you can also have social inhibition, that people, when they get in groups, tend to shrink away from what they're good at and they don't maybe perform at their maximum capabilities. And so, what you would want is somebody that understood that and tried to overcome it, or a group leader who's trying to help that person to come out of that, to be part of the group that's there. The other danger that can come with groups is groupthink. Right? Everybody starts to think the same way, especially if a group's been together for a long time. They think, well, hey, everybody in this group feels this way, so that must mean that everybody feels this way, right? It's kind of that false consensus bias that we looked at that's happening on a group level. And so you got to guard against that. Usually it's a good idea, psychologists say, to have some turnover in the group, to have some people that kind of leave, some people that are coming in order just to kind of keep things fresh and moving when it comes to groups. But hopefully, looking at these principles, if you've got to work in groups, right? And a lot of times in an academic setting, we don't have a whole lot of choice, right? I remember group work in college was just not much fun at all, because it's just a professor saying, hey, you five were going to work together. Well, there's no indication that we're going to work together well, or that we've got the skills where we need to work together. And so as you start to form groups on your own and things like that, it's a good idea to look and say, well, what's this person bringing to the table? What's going to be there that's going to be helpful?